What's some widely accepted bad advice? Never, never, never quit. There is wisdom in knowing when to stop digging the hole you're in. There's a subtle difference between giving up and knowing when to stop. Love that one line in American Gangster. Quitting while you're ahead is not the same as quitting. Don't call the morning after a good first date. It makes you seem desperate. Heck that. Solid relationships are built on honest communication. If you're excited to see someone again, let them know. I love to see how much we're doing away with the old ways of doing things. Life is hard enough, there's no point in adding extra games. Be yourself. It's sometimes okay to not be yourself. To be honest, I'm actually short-tempered. If I always be myself, I would find myself in an argument in minutes. Just go up to her and be yourself. Myself is not someone who would just go up to a girl I don't know and start talking to her. LOL. When a job interviewer asks, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" a great response is, "In your position." No, this is not a great response, as it makes you sound arrogant and full of yourself. My last interview, they asked me that. I said I really don't know. But I'd like to learn as much as possible and be the guy that when a hard question comes up, everyone goes, "Go talk to Ian, he knows everything around here." I didn't know if that was a good answer or not, but they said it was and hired me. I tried the same thing, but the response I got was, "Who's Ian?" So, when I was a confident 18-year-old, I replied with that very phrase to my interviewer. Scouse lad appreciated the ballsiness of my comment, and I got the very junior job as a programmer. Worked for the company for 16 years through the ranks. When I interviewed someone many years later for a similar junior development role and I asked him why he wanted this job, he leaned across the table and said, "I'm brilliant and desperate." Took a punt, and the guy has been my best mate for over 20 years and is now our development director, and I've taken a step back. Sometimes cheesy lines work. Good vibes only. You can cry and be sad if you want to. It is perfectly fine. Translation: nobody is allowed to be mad at or upset with me. That if a little boy is mean to a little girl and pulls her hair and calls her names and stuff, that means he likes her. Along the same lines, parents often tell kids to ignore bullies, with the theory that if a bully gets ignored, they'll stop. Psychologists say this is hogwash, and in reality an ignored bully will often respond with escalating cruelty. Plus, victims are often picked because their reactions are immediate and obvious. They turn red, they cry, etc. And so it's often very difficult, sometimes impossible, for kids to follow the advice. I seriously got into a fight as a kid because other kids threw stuff at me after I asked them to stop and told them to stop. There were adults watching the whole thing. No intervention until I charged at the kids who were causing the issue, then I was the problem. You just have to ignore them. How long do I ignore them before they stop? You have to stick up for yourself. Yeah, I said stop multiple times and they didn't stop. Tell an adult. You sat there watching the whole thing. Rinse and repeat the whole cycle. Looks don't matter. As someone that's ugly, I find that mildly offensive. Looks get your foot in the door, personality gets you in. Having a great personality only works if you're moderately attractive. People also treat others different based on whether they're hot or not. My best friend is typically attractive, and the amount of times people have talked over me only to listen raptly to my friend is not even funny anymore. Treat others with respect, yes, even us ugly ones. Looks don't matter, attractive people. Yeah, it's the same as money can't buy happiness, people with money. Money can only buy so much happiness, but a lack of money can buy a nearly infinite amount of misery. Just doesn't roll off the tongue as nicely. People say there are no stupid questions. There are so many stupid questions. In my opinion, any question where the person cares about the answer and wants to learn is not really a stupid question. The worst questions are the ones coming from people who clearly have an agenda. Give public talks on any subject related to religion or politics, and you will hear people ask questions which aren't really questions, they are grandstanding or snide critique phrased as questions. Never go to bed angry. I hear people say it all the time, and people accept it as if it's gospel. But often a good night's sleep and a chance to let your cortisol drop so you can get out of your reptilian brain and return to reason is really what you need. Do not stay up all night trying to resolve some issue when you're furious and exhausted. Go ahead and go to bed angry. Many times I've gone to bed angry, and woken up wondering what the hell I was mad about in the first place. It's like a giant reset button for the brain. Usually helps if you're not sleeping in the same bed as the object of your anger. How do I stop sleeping in the same bed as myself? Have kids while you're young, everything will work out. Lots of my Mormon friends started having kids at 19 to 20, they're all struggling. I'd say 20 is too young, you can't even drink, but there is a middle ground when it comes to the best age to become a parent. My parents had me late, 39 and 40, and while they were great, I think it's also valuable for children to have parents of an age where they can handle more of the physical stress and play around easier. Wife and I are the same age. There is a lot we offer our little one in terms of stability, security, and a bit more wisdom. But by God, would this have been physically easier 10 or even 5 years ago? There is no perfect age, just like there are no perfect parents. You have kids when you have them and work your hardest to give them a good life. That is all anyone can do. If you asked a girl out and she says no, just keep on trying. No, my guy. She gave you her answer. Now off you go. A lot of romantic comedy behavior would be stalking in real life. There's a very thin line between persistence and creepy entitlement. Rejection is a part of life. Just recognize that your feelings aren't being reciprocated, learn from the experience, and move on. Hell yes. If you ask her out, and she say no 90% of the time, that means, I'm not interested. 10% of the time it means she wants to be pursued. But you absolutely do not want to date a person who can't communicate, or who wants to play games. That person needs to grow the fuck up before they start dating. No has to always mean no, or there's no point to asking. Don't discuss your salary. That's good for your employer, not you. Public service announcement. In many jurisdictions, including the entire USA, it is illegal for your boss to prevent you from discussing salary. Check the laws in your locality. If you're in any country that has ever had even a halfway decent labor movement, the law definitely will be on your side. Follow your dreams. It is too vague. I want to be an actress, and then not explaining the steps, or other obscure jobs kinda leads to a kid dreaming and not doing much, then growing up confused. I still think people should follow their passions in life. Do what they love, and find motivation in everything. But I hate follow your dreams. It sounds like something you'd hear a whimsical fairy say. It is meaningless, dreamy, and unproductive today, in my opinion. I think telling people to follow their dreams is fine, but we need to equally be willing to tell people that they need to have a backup plan. Like, we knew a couple that got divorced because the husband was convinced he'd be a pro golf player. But he didn't play that much, and he wasn't that amazing. He ended up just kind of sitting around the house all day until his wife had had enough. Tip your head back when you have a nosebleed. Never do this. You will swallow a ton of blood and it will make you sick. Sit down, lean forward, and apply an ice pack and gentle pressure to the bridge of your nose, on both sides of the bone. Do not pinch your nostrils shut, just put pressure on the bone. Catch dripping blood with tissues or whatever. Correct up until the holding the nose part. You should absolutely pinch the soft part of the nose. You need to apply pressure to where the blood is coming from, soft tissue, not the bone. I treat bloody noses all the time in the emergency room, and you will never speed the process by holding your nasal bridge. Also, blow your nose to clear all the old blood before applying pressure. Big clots of blood paradoxically prevent the bleeding surface from clotting. And finally, hold pressure for at least 5 minutes without peeking. When you stop pressure, the bleeding resumes and the time to clotting starts all over. Fire a warning shot. Legitimately awful idea. Why is that? Multiple reasons. Firing a round without any intended target is less safe than firing one with an intended target, especially upwards, because gravity exists, and due to the fact that flying bullets ricochet more often than the average person expects, so that needs to be taken into account. Firing may send the person you're trying to intimidate into a fight or flight response that could quickly get ugly, that you then have to immediately recollect yourself and prepare for. Firing a gun at all if you're not wearing anything to protect your ears doesn't work like in video games. You'll most likely hinder your hearing temporarily, especially if you're raising the gun and firing it into the sky, bringing it closer to your ears. Better off expressing clear and assertive vocal warning that you intend to bring a conflict threat to a conclusion one way or another. No playing around and no extra risk taking where there doesn't need to be. You have to go to college. No, college is one option. There are several other options: trade school, apprenticeship, workforce, military, volunteering, whatever. You have to do what's right for you, not what others are incentivized to tell you. College was right for me, and I was able to pay off my loans within 5 years of graduating because I was fortunate to use my degree to obtain a job in my field fairly quickly. That doesn't mean it's right for my cousin, who is a welder and making gobs of money being an expert on his own schedule. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.